Welcome back. I promised that I would talk about the Q&A that was held from BlizzCon about the new expansion, World of Warcraft Legion. Unfortunately, the Q&A that was actually advertised as being something that we can learn more about the expansion was actually a recap of what happened at Gamescom to what I think is a shout out to their sponsors, which I'm showing you on the screen here. What actually happened? It was 90% recap of what happened at Gamescom and 10% answering questions. And of that 10%, for me, they didn't release anything that wasn't already known or obvious from the announcement that they did about the expansion. I'm just calling it the way that I see it. It was a huge opportunity where they could have made a stronger connection and followed up with a win after the announcement with their customers, because their customers have been pissed off for a while now. We've been frustrated, annoyed, angry, and the announcement of the expansion helped to heal that pain, that frustration and annoyance. It would have been great if they had made this Q&A with the standpoint of what do our subscribers want to know, instead of how do we please our sponsors. Honestly, that's what it was. As far as the questions, they asked about what timeline we're in. We're in the current timeline. You'd know that if you paid attention to the announcement. They said that Dalaran is basically the same Dalaran, except it moved from where it is in Northrend to Broken Isles. Okay. You'd know that if you paid any attention to the announcement. They confirmed there will be flying in Legion. When the expansion is launched, the first steps to completing the achievement will be available so that you can start working on it, which is something that people have asked for. That's common sense because they said already that that's what was going to happen. Artifacts. You're going to get one weapon. There will be some very basic loots in the very beginning, weapon drops for people that are under item level. But other than that, do not expect to kill this badass boss and get a weapon, because that's not going to happen. You may get a relic for the weapon, for the artifact that you're going to be married to for the whole expansion, but you're not going to get that feel of getting a new weapon. Is just not going to be there this time. Professions have a large development team that you would know if you looked at my video, because I told you that, and I showed you where they are hiring a bunch of people. So that's, again, for people who view my channel, nothing new. Professions are getting a quest chain. Now, again, if they had asked, what do our players want versus, well, I'm sort of clusterfucked here because I don't know how it comes into play. Wow, we need to rejuvenate professions. Let's give each profession a quest line. I don't even. As a gatherer, I want to be able to gather shit in the world. Is that asking too much? And I want the people that have the professions where they make things to have cool recipes and plans and stuff so that they can make cool shit, so they need the stuff that I'm gathering. It's really that simple. It is really that simple. Demon Hunters, they talked about that, and they said that they were thinking about adding Demon Hunters in Burning Crusade, but they weren't comfortable adding a new class to the game at that point. I showed you where Demon Hunters came up in 2014, and they said no, that they're not working on them. While they were working on that, they should have had the storyboard for the next 2 expansions, if they're efficient, but at least the next expansion, they needed to have that worked out, okay? Otherwise, you will back yourself up into a corner. Now, going back to Mists of Pandaria, while we were in Mists of Pandaria, they were working on Warlords of Draenor. They should have had, at some point, 2 dev teams working at all times, because it takes time to create this. So while we're going into Legion, a team should be working on the next expansion. That's common in the industry. So them saying that they were thinking about this in the Burning Crusade and decided not to is not that big of a deal. What is that you can see from what I've shown you that there is a disconnect with the team regarding what they should do. They have a storyboard, they have an idea, and they're not thinking it through clearly because you can tell that they run into mechanical problems in the game and they end up trying to make a band-aid to fix it, and it doesn't work. And that's what Draenor is. They were working on it in Mists of Pandaria, and then by the time they got to Draenor, while we were in Draenor, they're still working on Legion, and it's like, uh-oh, this flying thing. I think the map is smaller. We will see. But it looks like that map is smaller. So it would make sense that they want to address the world needs to feel bigger, while we're all like, wait a minute. You know, the Demon Hunter thing. This was 2014. No, we're not working on Demon Hunters. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. But that's the same thing of, we're going to add this city to the expansion. No, we're not. We're going to add this to the expansion. No, we're not. All of the tunes are going to be redone for the expansion. No, they're not. It's time going into Legion for this to stop. You come up with a plan. It better be a damn good plan, and then you follow through with it. The last thing that they talked about was about the Demon Hunter being a melee class. Now, there was some confusion about this, and I want to clarify this. The Demon Hunter is a melee class. They will be using, in Legion, glaives. But your Demon Hunter is allowed to go back in other expansions. And in other expansions, that is when the other weapon choices will be available to you. But for now, just like all the other classes, you are cock-blocked to one type of weapon for your spec. That's it. So when Watcher Dev said, well, we really weren't feeling making all these different weapon types in that Q&A, now we know why. I think it's lazy. I don't like it. I can't stand it. Is this enough emotion for you? So that's it, really. I've got nothing else because they gave me nothing else to talk about. Let me know, what do you think about the announcements and discussion? Were you hyped to see this girl in her costume? Did you care that this dude went to the Blizzard offices? Did you wish that they had paid attention to the community and answered more questions? So that's it for this one, and I will see you guys in the next one.